So apparently, Yuzu is not going to be around any longer because Nintendo has decided to file a suit against the developers of the Nintendo Switch emulator Tropical Haze for $2.4 million. At least that was the settlement, as it was reported like a day ago or so. That was the settlement that Nintendo got from them in damages, and and this is something like a lot of people don't know, but Yuzu was launched back in 2018, and it was something that you can run on Microsoft Windows, on Linux, and on Android, and you can play games like Super Mario Wonder, um, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Splatoon 3, you name it. You could play all those games on the emulator, and the thing is, like, even though there's a lot of like older games that have or that you could play online because of the emulators and all that stuff. It doesn't seem like it's something that Nintendo's necessarily bothered by because they're very old games. As far as new games are concerned, obviously Nintendo cares a lot about it, and they look at it like, you know what, if you're making a huge profit off of our intellectual property, we're going to do something about it. That's exactly what happened. They did something about it, and they basically had Tropical Haze pretty much shut down Yuzu, and that's something that a lot of people feel is a bummer because there are people who can't afford a Switch console, even though it's not expensive or anything like that compared to PlayStation 5. But they can't afford a Switch console, but then they could play like you know brand new games that just came out for the Switch console, and for like cheap or for a lesser price, and it's something that is kind of a big deal, and you don't see this happening with like the PlayStation 5, at least not to my knowledge. I don't think this is happening with Sony and the PlayStation 5 or anything like that. But at the same time, Sony's been dealing with their share of issues with hackers, pretty much stealing their intellectual property, holding it for ransom, all that stuff. And we all know about what happened with the Marvel's Wolverine game, and Sony's basically trying to get that whole thing resolved. But yeah, Nintendo apparently does not like piracy, and yeah, like what Yuzu was doing was actually illegal for the most part, and honestly, Nintendo felt like they were entitled to compensation, financially, and rightfully so. And I guess we live in a day and age where we can't necessarily pirate games anymore for the most part, and I know like for the most part, like the price of gaming and the cost of living and all that stuff is going up, but at the same time, Tropic Haze should have known that they weren't going to get too far with this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are surprised that this has been going on for so long because 2018 was like 5-6 years ago, and yeah, I guess it's one of those deals where the more money they made, the more Nintendo was like, something, some of that belongs to us, so whatever. Let's get rid of this once and for all and collect whatever we can. But it is what it is, and I don't know, there was like a report that Use's Patreon page had allowed the developers to earn like 30 grand per month, providing subscribers with daily updates, early access, and special and release features to games like, Tears of the Kingdom. And that's kind of a big deal because Tears of the Kingdom came out last year, and it hasn't even been like a year since Tears of the Kingdom came out. And I'm pretty sure a lot of video game companies are, pissed off about um hackers and and a bunch of leakers pretty much um, basically getting classified information out there that belongs to them and profiting off of it. Yeah, and I feel like that's something that's going to get cracked down upon even more going into the future for the most part because we just live in a different age. You can't really get away with as much as you could like about a decade ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, because we live in a different era in the world. So it is what it is, and this is actually a major victory for Nintendo in relation to, I guess, protecting your games, protecting your intellectual property, and so forth. And as far as Nintendo goes, it doesn't seem like it's going to be necessarily a high profile year for them in relation to video game releases. 2025 is most likely going to be a big year because we're going to get the Switch 2. We might possibly get Metroid Prime 4. We might possibly get Mario Kart 9 in 2025. Nothing's been confirmed, but we'll just have to wait and see. what happens between now and next year.